What up, cuckolds? It's the hater, and once again, there's this one guy who I have to start thanking him now, right? He put up a comment several days ago on one of the videos, and he was like, saying that Gunter sucks is one of the dumbest takes ever. And my interactions with him, right, have led to a lot of different video ideas. So thank you, guy with the chicken picture. I forget his name. This video that I'm making right now is being made on Wednesday, although I'll probably upload it this weekend. So who knows? Maybe me and this guy will continue our conversation. But the point is, Chicken Guy and I were talking, and as I said, or in my previous video, he is a 1-year fan, right? Now, he seems like a good guy. He went back to do his due diligence and look at clips from the 90s, but obviously it's not the same, right? He doesn't understand fundamentally, and it's not a slight to him, but he just doesn't understand what wrestling is yet, right? This is a common thing, not just in sports or sports entertainment, but in everything, right? Like if you tuned in to like Pokemon season 4, whatever, let's say, right? Not that I know it by heart, right? And you have, I don't know, Ash and Charizard, you'd be like, oh, Charizard must be Ash's main Pokemon, right? Because Charizard is a big dragon with a fiery tail who kicks ass, right? You wouldn't know intuitively that the real hero is Pikachu, right? You see what I'm saying? If you watch football and you have no idea what football is, right? You might not even realize that the quarterback is the heart of the game. You might not even realize how important the cornerback is, right? You'd be like, oh, the cornerback just like, stops a guy from catching the ball, like anyone can do that, right? You wouldn't know this, right? We all have these moments when we watch something that we don't quite understand and someone has to explain to us why what we watched is amazing, right? If you watch the Olympics, you're like, oh my God, like the announcers might lose their mind over something. You're like, what, that wasn't that great, right? But it was, you just don't understand what the standards are for this thing that you're watching, right? The same thing can be and is true about wrestling, right? And that's one of the big problems of the wrestling fandom, right? Thank you, Chicken Guy, for making me understand this. So the Dave Meltzer crowd, right? The main reason why they listen to Dave Meltzer is because they're all newish fans, right? And when you're a new fan of something, you don't necessarily have the requisite knowledge. And I'm not trying to gatekeep. Anyone can be a fan of wrestling, but you have to have some sort of baseline to understand what is and is not good, right? If you've only watched one football game and someone throws like a horrible pass to you, it might look like a great pass, right? If you've never watched basketball, right, someone doing a layup to you might be like, oh my God, how does this guy keep making every layup, right? Which, if you watch basketball, you'll know that the expectation is that you are supposed to make 100% of your layups, right? That's why we have the term layup. Something that's easy is a layup, right? But in wrestling, you need guidance, right? Because wrestling is intimidating in the sense that there's so much of it, right? So if you're a new fan, right, you're like, I like this guy. You might like Tozawa. Your inclinations might be, I like Tozawa, right? And then you go, hey, this Tozawa guy is pretty cool. You might write in a comment on some sort of nerd forum, right? Someone's like, Tozawa ain't great. You know who is great though? Gunter, right? Dave Meltzer even said so, right? And then this creates essentially an effect, right? This creates a compounded effect where people are going to rely on the opinions of other people who present themselves as more knowledgeable, right? Now, these are people, generally speaking, right? I don't know about Chicken Guy, but generally speaking, these are people that are easily led, right? So a lot of times people say, well, how did the Holocaust happen? Because a lot of people are easily led. They're very, very suggestible. You can tell them that this thing is good and they'll just accept it, right? Like, have you ever tried Thai food? Right? Thai food, like for the longest time, people are like, Thai food's amazing. And I'm like, let's try this. And I'm like, what the hell? It's basically Chinese food. There's like a little bit of a difference in the sauce. It's the same fucking shit. It's the same breaded chicken. They change the sauce a little bit and they call it something else, right? But here's the ultimate one. Has anyone tried Peruvian chicken? Right? One of my best friends is Hispanic, and he's like, bro, this is many years ago. He's like, bro, we gotta try Peruvian chicken. Let's go. And to this day, I still make fun of him for putting me through this. So he's like, let's go get Peruvian chicken. We go get Peruvian chicken. And I'm like, dude, I hate to break it to you. This is just roast chicken. This is just rotisserie chicken. He's like, no, but they use different spices. Bullshit. No, they don't. It's the same oregano that they use at Safeway or at Giant or whatever grocery store you go to, right? It's just a marketing ploy. It's not a real thing, right? Wrestling is kind of the same. Someone has to tell you what is good and what is not good. That is why the public opinion sways as often as it does, right? There was a point where we were led to believe that Nakamura was the best wrestler in the world. That didn't work out. And instead of admitting that Nakamura sucked ass the whole time, like I've been saying, a lot of people are like, oh, well, he didn't get his chance or whatever. It's some excuse, right? But most of the people just move on. They just ignore Nakamura. They're like, oh, who cares? Right? DIY. I was told at some point by a lot of my neckbeard Smark fans that Tommaso Ciampa versus Gargano needs to be a WrestleMania match. Last week on Raw, Tommaso Ciampa and Gargano come out and they go to the crowd begging for a reaction because the crowd is like, I don't give a flying fuck about either of you because you're both boring, right? And now that sheen has worn off, right? The sheen of this is the lie that Tommaso Ciampa is something special has worn off with time, right? The same thing has happened to countless others. Here's another one. Kenny Omega. Remember when the haters started this channel 5 years ago? Kenny Omega was the dude, right? We were told to believe that Kenny Omega is one of the best wrestlers of all time. Of all time, cucks. And all of a sudden, nobody gives a shit about him anymore either, right? Nobody gives a fuck. Now Cody is the new guy whose meat everyone is riding, right? What's going to happen next? I can tell you. I can predict it. Next, it's going to be a slight return to Daniel Bryan. And then after that, also another example. Daniel Bryan is back. Nobody cares about him at all anymore. At all, nobody gives a fuck about Daniel Bryan, right? Now it's going to be Okada because he's the new guy from New Japan, right? It's not like when Okada and Kenny Omega were wrestling, Kenny Omega got worse and Okada got better. He's just the fresh guy, so he gets the fresh guy premium, right? The next big thing that's going to fail is Will Ospreay. And in my opinion, he's the best one of the bunch because he actually does some power moves, right? But Will Ospreay is also going to probably fail unless he develops a personality that's beyond the fact that he has an accent, right? The point I'm trying to make is this. You cannot tell me, right? You cannot tell me what is and is not good based on things like who has been here most recently, right? Isaiah Swerve Scott, or whatever the fuck his name is now, Swerve Strickland, right? He was in fucking 205 Live or NXT or wherever the hell he was for years and nobody gave a fuck about him. He was the same guy. But now, they'd have you believe that, oh, Isaiah Swerve Scott really has improved. How did he improve? How come nobody has any answer to the follow-up question? Everyone just says these horseshit aphorisms. They're like, yeah, Isaiah Swerve Scott has really improved. How? Well, if you don't see it, I can't help you. It's like the annoying, response to the second question. It's just like people that are like, oh, you don't believe in climate change? And someone's like, well, it's not that I don't believe in climate change, but I don't think it's like this pressing issue. Oh, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? You're like, oh, can you explain to me why it's a pressing issue? Google it. I'll figure it out, right? That's just people saying, I have no fucking idea why I believe what I believe. It's basically an admission of I am a complete sheep, right? And my opinion has zero validity in anything that I say. My opinion is just the opinion of more influential people that I look up to because I don't have the confidence to have my own thoughts. That's all that means, cucks. That's all that means. So when I'm told that Will Ospreay's the next big thing, automatically I think, oh, you mean like when you told me that Sin Cara was the next big thing? Like when you told me that Hideo Itami was the next big thing? Why is it that the next big thing in the indies never becomes the next big thing? It never happens. Like not one time, cucks. Not one time. Like, I guarantee you that there is a possibility that they might completely screw it up because Braun Breaker doesn't have like a great personality. But I would bet a lot of money that when it's all said and done, Braun Breaker is going to be a much bigger star than Seth Rollins. He's going to be a much bigger star than Hideo Itami. He's going to be a much bigger star than these guys, or at least he has the potential to be. He has the potential to be the next face of WWE. I sure as shit, I'll put it to you this way. I'll give you this example. As soon as the Shield came out, I'm like, this guy, Roman Reigns, whatever his name was, I don't even know his name at the time. I'm like, this guy is going to be 100 times a bigger star than anyone that has ever stepped foot in New Japan. Anyone, including Jericho, including all the legends. This guy is it. He is the next Cena, right? And people are like, no, I think Dean Ambrose is going to be the real, like, people would actually discuss it. They're like, who do you think is going to be the breakout star of the Shield? And it's like, it's obviously fucking Roman Reigns. Like, if you've watched wrestling for more than 3 minutes, you know automatically. Like, you look, you see Seth Rollins, he's like this weird-looking guy, kind of like creepy, almost looking like a pedophile, with like half his hair is blonde. The other guy is balding severely. And then you have Roman Reigns, who looks like a god, and people are like, oh, who do you think is going to be the star? Gee, I don't know. Is it the guy with 2 hair colors? Is it the guy who's balding? Or maybe, just maybe, it's the guy that looks like a star, right? And that's what I got to say about that, cucks.